Hello and welcome to my shop. This is Jim Dedman, Sawlogs Plastic Hubs. Hope you enjoyed today's video. We'll be doing something interesting, so hang around, let's have fun. Good afternoon. This is Jim. Welcome to the shop, and I'm going to do a little bit of an not an unusual video. This is a repeat of a video I probably made several years ago when I started my channel earlier. And the reason I'm making this video today, besides your entertainment obviously, or it may not be, but is to show off my tooling that I use on my lathe in my videos. And I do get questions from time to time, comments, sometimes emails about my tooling. And people who's been in my shop, I like to show it to them. And basically what this is a collection of tooling that I've developed or modified or built or whatever to work on my lathe. I've got them all laid out, and we will go through them one by one, and this will be a video that's basically showing my specialty. Now I'm going to call it my specially homemade or modified tooling. So basically, again, I will repeat this. I have had access to some of this tooling's fairly low cost or no cost due to all my years as being at Eaton. The other thing is I have more time than money. Old retired people, and sometimes in the shop, half the fun is making the tooling. So I mean, this is nothing elaborate. You can not only do in your own shop, but I'm going to have it here for you, and we will, no further ado, I'll get over our focus on it, and we'll have a look at it. This is my tooling package. This is not my complete tooling package. These are the tools that I use that I've either modified, made, or repurposed. The one common theme you will see on all these tools is the studding on everything is 1/4 And the reasoning behind that, first of all, we're working some pretty thin tool holders. Secondly, all this does on any of these tools, this right here, is maintain your center height. There's no real stress to it. Once you drop out on your quick change block and pull your handle, no matter which type of block, where it's a wedge or a piston, that's what actually holds your tool to the dovetail. Excuse me. The only purpose of these adjusters on these tools is basically to maintain heights. And there's several things I've done along the way to kind of make things better. So what I'm going to do is kind of focus on a row at a time, and we will go from there. Okay, now we're going to start the back row. This is an MCLNR 163 tool holder. This is a Kental metal version. This one uses a CNMG 431 2 or 3 insert, standard configuration. In my shop, I use 432s, some 431s. Again, these inserts, there's a reason that, yes, all these are negative rake inserts. And I will tell you, you'll hear this, you got to use positive inserts on these little lathes. Bull hockey! That's my answer. I'm going to sound like R. Lee. Bull hockey! A lathe doesn't know what your geometry is. All it knows is how much horsepower it's got when you're going into the cut. So that's the theory behind this. The truth about it is, my lathe is going to take so big a cut where I use them little negative inserts or positive rate things for that. Now, there is one thing. Sometimes it's a chip control issue. So, with that being said, one thing, if you're picking these inserts out yourself, try to, in any of this type, go for what would be a finishing insert, because you got a tighter chip breaker. So this is the one that uses CNMG. This is a 1-inch holder. This is 1.25 inch holder. Again, this one actually did come from eating out of the trash can. It's got some damage right in here. That's uses a DNMG insert, and it's actually set up, and it's a left hand. Again, I picked it up because I could use this for a left hand tool for reverse turning. This trigon is another 1-inch shank, and this is sometimes I've done experimenting along the way. This has got a bigger nut on it. It's unnecessary, but I made it one time and I was fixing the tool up and I decided to use it. So that's it. This here is another right hand, and I can't, well, let me look. I can tell you the tool holder number. It's a DVJNR 853D, and I'm pretty positive that's a Kennametal also. I don't know where I bought this or it came from Eaton, but this uses a V&MG 322. This is 1 1/4 inch holder. It may have come from Eaton. This is a left-hand trigon, and I got it set up to actually cut this way. This is one of the earlier, some of these with brass has been made a while, and I thought on some of these it would be plastic, make little plastic washers. If you notice, the most of them just got plain lock washers, works really well. This is another right hand. It's a 1-inch, and it uses the D-shaped inserts. I tend to use this when I'm around tailstocks, because this tool here, you can't get close to it when you're using tailstocks in center. And this is just a square insert. I picked it up off of eBay. I use for chamfering. Everything here you see is drilled 1/4 20. Now we'll go to the next row. I'm gonna kind of start over here with these 3 boring bars. This boring bar is set up to do normal boring. It's a trigon. It comes from Eaton out of the trash can. And it's dovetailed here, set up to do boring bar. This other trigon, my actual intention was to use it for a turning tool. And I cut the dovetail on the wrong side. Mr. Bozo and Uncle Murphy visited that day. So I decided to cut a dovetail on the opposite side, just straight across. So now I can use this boring bar here as a boring tool on a real large part. In fact, when I was doing the coasters I did, or I can use it as a turning tool. Same thing with this left-hand bar. This left-hand bar is actually set up to be a turning tool. So that's what these 3 large boring bars here are for. They just basically what that was. Again, you see 1/4 20, the washers and whatnot. Now these next 3 are just, and 2 of these, in fact, all these have been on a video being produced. This is my recent tool that I just recently released video on about making the cutoff tool stiffer. This one, there's a video on. I had purchased this to be able to use these smaller high-speed steel tools. I got all this at a sale. And the guy was selling some stuff out, and I designed this block to fit right on my quick change to use the Armstrong for that purpose, or when I need high-speed steel. If you watch A-Bombs, Adam Booth, he's got several of these set up in different holders, either at his day job or at his own personal shop. Of course, he got larger tools. This one, that's what this was designed for. This very end one right here that you're seeing, that's just a copy of a standard block. Again, I was working on making tooling. This is one of the ones I've done the oil bluing on, the heating them up and putting them in oil before I went to using cold blue. Again, 1/4 20, and this one's not even set because this is just set up in case I need a block sometime. It's like a spare block. Okay, now we'll go to the front. The front row is all boring bar blocks of my own design. And what I did with these blocks, this whole series was made out of 1 piece of steel. And what happened was I bought this piece of steel purposely from metal supermarkets. It was a drop. And I called him and said I needed a drop of approximately, this was a hot roll bar, block that I machined this whole mess out of. And what I did when I machined these is basically I tucked the block, squared it up, cut the dovetail to fit, and then I sliced these up, sort of like, I would say, use the word like bologna. The reasoning for the different thicknesses is how I got all these tools out of 1 piece of steel, quite honestly. The thicker the block, the bigger the boring bar. And that's why you'll notice the difference in the thicknesses. And I have these are all the little boring bars that I own, and they're all set up in their own individual blocks. So when I grab one, I don't have to set heights or change blocks or anything. I mean, you know, you could do the same thing with the factory blocks like this, but this is to me is a better setup. It's better set up in the big block because I've reduced that overhang for one thing, and I've still got plenty of mass with this block. These are made a longer to give us more strength. So basically, this bar here, originally I picked it up at a flea market, Anderson, South Carolina. This one, and I think this one right here, both come from that same guy. I bought both of these boring bars $25. The blocks are just, I basically cut the dovetails, drilled them, and I put way too many screws. This is another kind of a learning experience with this. So these are 1032 set screws in these blocks, every one of them. It's a learning experience, and I know better now, but this is when I was learning. I made these first last year. So each one of these blocks, this block I bought off, this boring bar, I bought it off of eBay. And somebody had ground it way down like this when I bought it. And it comes in handy every once in a while to bring a bore up to size. Then the rest of these are just standard little import bars. And I've got a threading bar, which I've never really set up and used. Again, each one of these tools got 1/4 and studs. The top washers for this machine, basically I take a 1-inch piece of aluminum, throw it up in the lathe, knock a knurl on it, and just slice them about a 1/4 inch thick. And this is standard. If you'll look at every one of these, that's just a standard nut, hardware nut, standard lot washer. Nothing elaborate, none of these. So the point here is, ladies and gentlemen, you can have some really good tooling, you know, and part of the fun of the hobby is making tooling. And this thing right now, so far, I'm going to do a head-to-head test, and I've got to get my other stuff together. But the way I've done all this is kind of difficult sometimes to see them until I put them out. I don't have racks built on my lathe. One thing you'll notice, the most used tools are mounted on my pans here across the back. What these are nut certs drilled in, and this is space to hold the tool block right here. And what these do is just let me slide them over. So I've got all my, the ones I mainly use, I have them here. Then the ones that I don't use as much is up there on the blue rack behind the lathe. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, setting there on my cross slide, on my compound, is my go-to tool that I use 80% of the time for turning. It's, you know, it's that modified DCLNR 163 with a 432 insert. These tools are designed and built and used in industry in CNC lathes to rough. Their design feature is to be able to use this tool in 2 directions, turning this way, turning the face, and turning OD. That means that saves an index and saves a step, saves speed travel on lathes when you're setting up in CNC world. So, here's my point. This tool's geometry is designed to work 90 degrees from the spindle to work properly. It isn't designed to turn this block 10-15 degrees to change the top cutting edge of this angle. Now, a lot of the reason people do that is they're trying to change the cutting angle for chip control. Chip control's on top of the insert, how the insert's designed. It doesn't help that much. So why I need a handle up here to move this thing around when I don't move it? The only time I move this is when I change this to cut a taper off here, then I re-square this to that. And then I still try to work 90 degrees. Or I may adjust it to make sure when I'm double checking my cutoff tools. I hardly have to move my cutoff tools and realign it, because once this block's set, I don't mess with it. Now, is that wrong, right, or indifferent? Hey, that is up to the user. This is how I run my lathe. I'm not telling you how to run yours. But that's my point and the reason I do what I do. I'm not saying anybody's right, wrong, or indifferent, but I'm just telling you my reason for doing things. So the next thing I'll show you is something I've already showed you. I try to keep things handy, and I don't like a lot of stuff setting up on the top of the lathe that can fall. The pair of pliers is here for chips. Here's my chuck wrench. Here's a file. There's a file. You've seen me use the deburr tools. I'll kind of bring you back over to that. You see me use the deburr tools. These are just for small holes. They're basically welding. These are import welding on a rack that I can just grab while I'm working. And I'll bring you around something else. In the back of my lathe, I have another mount placed back here. And this is where my tailstock tooling resides. I have another live center with a smaller point that stays in the boxes. This is the one I use 80% of the time. Then this is a Jacobs chuck that I've recently got purchased off of eBay. That sometimes when I use reduced shank drills, so I don't have to put all that strain on my reduced shank drills. This is a ER32 collet holder. And this is the original chuck that came with this lathe from Grizzly. That's a keyed chuck. So sometimes I use it. And you've seen the shelves and stuff and the drills. The only other thing that you may notice, and I got my tool thing empty right now. And this is a camera mount for videoing. When I'm videoing the lathe, I made this that fits off the tripod. So that's what this is. Then you see my blue shelf that you've see a lot in my videos. And I put a piece of metal up here. That was on a video. So these indicators can just live up here and they're up. Those two wrenches are for the that you see on the side here. They're there primarily to work the knurling tool. And then the tools you see this back here. A brush. This is the wrench to turn this when needed. Right behind here is a wrench I've modified to get to the compound nuts and the lathe with, and a few other things. I don't have my lathe set up with the digital on my tailstock. However, I do have this, and I can use the indicator off the top's what I do. I'm debating on the digital on mine. I'd like to do that, and I've thought about it, and I haven't just gotten around to it after all these years. I use indicators to check depth, and of course you know about my work stop systems that I've already shown many times that I built. So let's just get back over to the bench and do a quick recap. One tool I got on the lathe, I didn't bring it back, but as a quick recap, this is what I use and works for me. Now I will make this disclaimer to go along with the other one. This is Jim's opinion. This is what it is, and we all know what opinions are like, and we all have got them, both of them. So don't, if you disagree and want to make comment and say, hey, why, I don't think this is a good idea, here's why I think that, that's fine. Be respectful. We could agree to disagree. But I've been running this lathe with this tooling. I had a similar package from a little lathe master, not quite as involved with the boring bars, and it worked out real good. I've modified several of these tools for other folks to give them away. Everybody that's got them has used them some. Some people ain't quite grasped the concept yet. But the thing about it is, it's worked really good for me in my shop. So I hope you enjoyed this. And this is just another idea showing you what's possible with your tool packages if you want to do this. So, thank you for watching and listening to me dribble for this time. I hope you enjoyed the video. So, let's put a disclaimer out of the way. This video is my idea how to do things. It's not the only way. So I hope you enjoyed it today. The other thing, comments are always welcome. Please take the time, if you feel so inclined, to make a comment on my videos. Also, I appreciate all my subscribers, the new ones and the new ones. And finally, the other disclaimer. This is a copyrighted production of James Dedman, Saw Logs Plastic Hubs, for your enjoyment on YouTube. Thank you. Have a great day, and we will see you in the next video.